How do you reverse parental alienation? That is what every parent wants to know. And more importantly, that is what every alienated kid needs. They need to know how to have all of their family members in their life to feel peaceful, to be able to love each other, to feel safe. This is what you need as a parent, but also what your kids need. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I listen to this person? So let me tell you who I am. I'm Ginger Gentile. I'm the child of high conflict divorce. I was alienated. I healed my own family systems. And as I was healing, I learned how to heal others. And I am the director of 2 documentaries on the divorce. One is Erasing Dad, and one is Erasing Family. And after I did Erasing Family, all these moms and dads began to reach out to me, asking about how they could heal their families. And that's when, at first I was like, I'm a filmmaker. And then I was like, I need to help these families. So I started working with families one-on-one and in group settings to help them reunite. And what's interesting is from my own personal experience as a kid, interviewing hundreds of families who didn't make it into the film Erasing Family, who reunited, who were unable to reunite, and the families in the film who did reunite. What we are able to see is that every family that reunites, every family that heals, follows the same steps. So my thought was, people make parental alienation very complicated. There's a tendency to say, my case is different. But if we can look at the cases that are similar, and all these cases follow a pattern, and just copy what works and avoid what doesn't, we can reunite many more families. In the past few years that I've done this, I have worked with families who they said their situation was hopeless. They have said that they don't think they'll ever see their kids again. And now they're going on vacations with their kids. Now their kids are calling them, inviting them to do things. So there is hope and it can change. So a little about how this is going to work today. Oh my God, I'm seeing all these people on here. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's on here. And I'm going to talk about how this is going to work. I want you to ask questions. And the questions I'm going to answer, this is key, are questions about how to reunite that can help other families. So don't get into specifics about telling me your story. That's important. But focus on something that is coming up to with your family right now. So while you think about that, and I will answer all the questions I can get to in this short period of time, and I'll start to be doing more of these. I used to do 1 a week, and I stopped for 2 years because I felt overwhelmed. And I took a step back and worked on other things. And now I'm committing to this full time because there's so many families that need help, and I want to make sure this is the last generation that has alienated kids. And I also want to say something to all the parents on this chat right now. When you talk to me, imagine that I'm your kid, and the real person who I want to help is your kid. So I know you've been through trauma, and I know you've been through a lot. You have been through hell and back. Maybe you're not back yet. So let's get started. So remember, please, in the chat, write your question. And yes, I'm seeing a lot of people saying that, thank you. Erica Johnson, where are the adult children that have reunited? There seems to be a lot of reference to them. So that is a great question. And there are more and more children who are speaking out, and I'm talking to them. And there's also the kids whose parents have reunited through my program. There's also a lot of kids who find me in the weirdest places. And I think people were saying that I should start telling this, I coach any alienated kid who comes to me who's over the age of 18 for free. And kids have been finding me on the weirdest places like Reddit and stuff. It's like totally crazy. So I was going to save this to the end, but if you watch this video to the end, I will tell you how you'll be able to find a lot more reunited kids and ask them questions. So stay tuned towards the end, especially if you're not watching this live. At the end, I will talk about steps you can take to reunite your family. I'll talk about how I work to reunite families. and where all these reunited kids are, because they will be revealed, and they are revealing themselves. Shout out to all the kids who have YouTube channels who are talking about this. I'm also getting parents who I work with to begin to give video testimonials. As you can imagine, a lot of them, they have active court cases. They don't want to go public, but I'm getting some people to start talking about how these programs have helped them. And I hope one day to talk to more of their kids too. But there's a lot of kids out there, so watch the end. So let me see all these beautiful comments. I hope they answer that. So if you want, write, in the comment, write question. And so I can see that's very clearly a question for me. Okay, so let's talk about what I've discovered about how to solve parental alienation, what every family does. Every family does with Reunite, they follow the same steps. It's crazy, it's almost cookie cutter. And these are for cases that are really, really bad in alienation. And how did I first discover this? So if you've watched the Erasing Family film, the link is below. It's free to watch, it's streaming on YouTube. It's all a film about healing after parental alienation. And Dizzy, one of the main characters in the film, he has 2 daughters, and he reunites with one daughter, and she was always like what we would call a hostage kid. She always yearned for her dad, was trying to find a way to get to her dad, was prevented, was threatened to not, so she couldn't see him. The moment she turns 18, she finds him, they reunite, it's like out of a movie, they begin to live together, everything's great. But his other daughter, what happened to her? And she's actually interviewing the film, and she says very clearly, Dizzy is not my dad, he is my biological sperm donor, he's blood and DNA, that's it. I have another dad, that's my stepfather who adopted me and who raised me. I want nothing to do with him. And I tried everything to get them together. I was even like, let's all go to Disneyland together, right? And they did not want to be in the same room together. And when the film ends, Dizzy watches the film for the first time. He cries and goes, "Thank you, Ginger, so much. You brought me with my other daughter. You made me see so much. I feel like I'm helping people, but this is bittersweet because I have another daughter." Fast forward 3 years, he reconnects with his other daughter, and I have a video about this on YouTube. And what's interesting is if Ashton was instantaneous, his other daughter took years of him trying. And he said the first thing he had to do, and this is step 1, is get out of the trauma response. So everybody who's watching this right now, I'm getting some questions good. I'll get to them in a second. Lots of questions. Wow. Okay, so secret sauce. Oh, wow. I just saw how many questions. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Okay, so the first step is everyone asks, how do I reach out to my kid? What text do I send? And there's a lot of information out there, and I share information on best practices, and there are definitely better texts, there's better messages than others. But that's not the place to start. So there's a lot of questions, how do I reach out to my kids? So the first thing, step 1, is getting rid of the trauma response. So anybody on this chat has been horribly traumatized because you can't see your kid. You've probably been traumatized by the justice system, professionals who made things worse. Even it could be painful that your kid doesn't want to talk to you. You might be angry at your kid. So the first thing to do is to learn how to reduce the trauma response. We're never going to eliminate it. But what does the trauma response do? When we feel that we are in danger, and that's what trauma is, we feel that every situation is a repeat of the danger that happened in the past. We cling on to safety for our dear lives, and that's our body and our mind's way of protecting us. Now this is good in an instant, right? You know, something is threatening you, it's good to run away, or it's good to fight, it's good to hide. But if every time the phone rings, you get this trauma response, right? It makes you do the same thing over and over again. So what led to the alienation is just going to repeat over and over again. And until we eliminate the trauma response, it does not make sense to actively try to reach out. Why? Let's say you reach out and the kid says, F you, Mom. I hate you. I don't want anything to do with you. And you go, ugh. Or what I've seen parents say, how dare you talk to me like that? I didn't raise you like that. Well, you didn't raise me at all. You're not even my mom. I am your mom. No, you're not. We go down through the same patterns. Or the thought of reuniting being rejected becomes so painful, we decide we don't want to go there. So we don't try. I work with parents where it's been 20 years since they made an attempt to reach out. And they still don't want to reach out because it's painful. And they say, why doesn't my kid reach out? Why don't you reach out? Well, it's too painful if I get rejected. So I think this is answering the questions for Katya, Alicia, Ali, Becca. So the first step is we work on ourselves to eliminate the trauma response or to reduce it as much as possible. Remember, healing's a journey. We're never going to be 100% healed or perfect. We want to be functional. So once we calm down, and part of that is also seeing all the people around us who are reuniting. I have a lot of testimonials on the website, and I'll be posting more of them. And instead of seeking out other parents who are in pain, we see out parents who are changing their lives, who are not just surviving, but they're thriving. And a lot of parents say, well, how could I be happy if I'm alienated? And this is a huge challenge, and this is not about sugarcoating it. This is not saying that the pain isn't valid. This is the worst pain you can experience. Now, life is filled with pain. There are people who've been through war, Holocaust, slavery, prison, people who have been falsely imprisoned, and you in a way have been falsely imprisoned. So look to the people like Nelson Mandela, who were falsely imprisoned and after 26 years came out with the hope to lead a country and to forgive. So this is the second step. It's letting go of the pain. It's acknowledging the pain. I'm going to give you a very simple step on how to do this. How many of you, sure it's a lot, how many of you find it really difficult? Oh, one thing, if you're watching this right now, share this video on your page. Share the link right now so everyone can watch this. So copy paste the link below and just share on your personal page. Share Messenger to a friend. It's too painful to see your kids' photos, right? So what you do is you put them away, which is totally normal. And if they're painful, you should do that. Once a month, once a week, once a day, I want you to take out the photos and look at them and let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. So it's not about getting rid of the pain, it's finding a place for that pain. And then eventually, when you look at those photos, maybe you'll put on some music that your kids liked. Maybe you'll start making their favorite food. Maybe you'll start posting about this on social media. And you'll find a way to reconnect with your kids even if they're not there. Step 3 is figuring out why the alienation happened. Now, there's a lot of stuff on social media where narcissists, borderlines, they're evil, they're abusive, and I'm not saying they aren't. God knows I've been abused by narcissists, borderlines. I've been so abused in my life, people. Mistreated, sexually abused multiple times, physically abused, humiliated, bullied, emotional abused. And it is awful and can happen to very smart, very intelligent people. Why is that? And this is what people don't talk about narcissists and borderlines, which a lot of alienators are, but not all of them. First of all, we're attracted to them because they tend to be very fun people. No one talks about this. Everyone talks about how abusive narcissists are. No one talks about when you're on their good side, it is the best ride in the world. And that is often what our children can be attracted to. I remember in a racing family, there was one stepmom who everyone was like, wow, this person is like crazy, and why does the son put up with it? And it's like, because I spent time with her, and man, was this woman fun. The alienated mom, sad. Of course she's sad. She had her kids stolen from her. No one helped her. And the son's like, narcissistic stepmom or sad real mom? The mom who takes me out to ice cream or the mom who cries? I'm going to go with fun mom. So we need to figure out what's behind the alienation often. It's 90% of the time. This is because the alienator went through this and they're repeating a pattern. So if we can view the alienator as an alienated child, like your child, who is acting out of hurt, this does not mean letting them go. And don't worry, I do not want you to engage with them or become a doormat. That's not the methodology I teach. But the more we can see them as hurt children who are now hurting you and your children, who have unaddressed and untreated trauma, one, it takes away some of the pain and the anger. Because if we don't solve this, our kids might do the same thing. And that's what research shows, right? If you've been alienated, you're very likely to become an alienator or be alienated as an adult. And there's probably some of you on this chat who were alienated as kids, and now you're repeating the pattern. So we need to clean up the family trauma. And this is where everyone says, but Ginger, no one else in my family wants to talk to me or they're dead. Doesn't matter. We can clean up family trauma on our own by looking in the face, acknowledging it, seeing it, and then making a conscious decision not to repeat it, because we tend to repeat the patterns over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. I did that. My parents fought all the time. Constantly, horrible fights. And one day I asked my mom, this is before the divorce, Mommy, why do you and Daddy fight so much? And she said, that's because Mommy and Daddy love each other, and that's just how people who love each other, sometimes they fight. A better response would have been, I'm so sorry you're witnessing this fighting. This must hurt. And I'm so sorry that I picked a partner who I fight with and I encourage to fight. And the only way I know how to deal with problems is fighting. Who do you think I married? Take a wild guess. Put in the chat. Do you think I married someone who was calm, or do you think I married someone who fought all the time and I threw plates at, he threw plates at me? Just take a wild guess. We repeat these traumas. Now, of course, if you ask me, is it good that someone yells at you? I'd say, of course not. It's better that they don't yell. But I had to repeat it. So if we can acknowledge and clear this, we are actually not only helping ourselves, we are helping our kids. We become the breaker of this horrible situation so it doesn't repeat. Everyone hang with me. I'm going to get to your questions in a little bit. So we went through step 1, stopping the trauma response so we can see things clearly. 2, letting go of pain, hurt, and anger. 3, finding out what's happening with the alienation. This also means what our role in it is. And maybe that role is just we were so naive, we were completely manipulated by a person. Maybe the role is we're repeating a pattern. Maybe the role is we are so desperate to see our kids that we engage a lot with the alienator, which is what they want. Because the relationship they have with you gives them pleasure. It's a dopamine hit. It is a cocaine hit to them. Your pain is cocaine. Your pain is dopamine. So the more we stop the pain, the less fun, literally, that's the word I'm using, the less fun it is for them to alienate you. And even if your kids are adults, if they're not talking to you, they're probably still in the grips of the alienator. There's one thing you take away from this. Point 3, never ever say, please, I want to see my kids, let me see my kids. You'll say, oh, you want to see your kids? Well, then you'll never see your kids. Haha, I love seeing you suffer. We need to learn to be assertive without being aggressive. And there's a whole way to do this. It's actually simple, but we don't have enough time because I want to get to your questions today. Step 4. So once we've emotionally regulated, For some people, this takes a few hours, a few weeks. For some people, this takes a few months. For some people, this is years of work. But the more you're willing to say, I am taking responsibility for how I show up in my reactions, the quicker this goes and the quicker you reunite. Because everyone says, Ginger, the problem is the alienator. I'm like, I agree. If they come to me and say, I want to solve the alienation, I will gladly work with them. I'll work with any alienator who comes my way. Guess what? They don't. Because they're happy. They're winning. Right? And when they're winning, they're teaching your kid to do this awful shit. We need to stop this right now, right? Your kid needs a healthy parent in their life. That healthy parent is you, and you also need to show up ready because your kid might be damaged when they show up for you. So they need you to be healthy, they need you to be happy. So the next step, step 4, is we create a beautiful life that they want to be a part of. We become financially stable and abundant because they might be clinging to the other parent for the financial resources. We become emotionally stable, so when the kid says, I have all these problems, I'm going to show up and I'm going to fight with you, I'm going to be angry with you, you know why they're insulting you? Because that's what they learned. They haven't had you to show them any different. So they saw that the other parent treats you like shit, so that's how they show love, because the other parent really loves you inside. I found this out with my parents. My parents couldn't be in the same room for 20 years, fought so hard. My mom's dying on the deathbed. Who does she ask to see? My dad. Like, these two people whose fighting caused me so much pain and grief, and before she dies, she wants to see my dad. They loved each other. They just had no idea how to show it. And that caused me trauma. Okay? See, there's a lot of comments coming in. So we create this beautiful life. This doesn't mean ignoring the pain. It means finding the joy in the things we can. We share this joy on social media the right way, which, trust me, your kids are watching. Second thing, if you take one thing out of this or two things out of this chat, your kids are following you on social media. You say, but Ginger, I don't see them. They have fake accounts. Your kids are like NSA level when it comes to social media, and they're running circles around you. So you can take every moment to show how beautiful your life is, and then you can just say, I can't wait to share this with my kids. You don't have to say, I haven't seen them, I miss them, I'm alienated. Can't wait. Going fishing. I remember I went fishing with Tommy. Can't wait to take him fishing again. You made their favorite dish was meatloaf. Here's my recipe for meatloaf. I used to make this all the time when Susie and Tommy were kids. Can't wait to make it for them again. If you are sad and depressed, this drives them away. So we want to be happy. Okay, step 5. There's only 6 steps, we're almost there. Step 5, learning new communication skills so our kids feel welcome, feel loved, feel contained. We know how to say to contain them. And if we have to deal with the alienator, and a lot of you do, or court professionals, or teachers, or your own family members who aren't helping you, or neighbors, or bystanders, and we want to turn them into allies and not enemies, communication techniques. So we always know what to say, so we're not afraid to make a mistake. And then step 6 is having a strategy, having a plan, building a support system to hold you accountable, and then reaching out to them over and over again, over and over again. Too many parents try once, or they try these communication techniques with the alienator, and they say, Ginger, didn't work. I said, how long has the alienation been going on? 3 years? How many times have you communicated the new way with the alienator? Well, once. I had a dad who, it was like 2 years of alienation, hadn't seen his daughters. His daughter's only 3 years, so the mom lets him see the daughter or not. Daughter, he can't reach out to the daughter can't reach out to him, she's 3. He began to use these techniques to communicate with the alienator, and eventually said, fine, you can get your court-appointed Skype call, because they're in different countries. He's like, I finally saw my daughter. But it took about a month of him using these methods consistently. What tends to happen is we use them, and then we fall off the wagon and get angry, show our emotions, or we stop. It took Dizzy 3 years to reunite with his daughter. Now they're going on vacation together. Now, knowing Dizzy was flying blind, but you know what Dizzy did. So this can be shorter and easier for you. And at the end, after I answer your questions, I will let you know next steps to follow. Okay. So let's go to the questions. So, how can I reunite with my 2 children who made false allegations against me? This is from Alicia Rose. Alicia, first of all, I'm so sorry that false allegations were made against you. This is very common, one of the worst things that can happen to a parent. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure that we are not embodying any of the accusations that were given against us. So if we were accused of being alcoholics, we should stop drinking, even if we're not an alcoholic. Surprised how many parents are accused of alcoholism. I'm like, oh, would you stop drinking? And say, well, no, I like my drink every weekend. If we're accused of being angry, we make sure we're always calm and peaceful. Accused of being crazy, we show up calm. Scattered, we're organized. We make sure we embody the opposite of that. And then we use the techniques that I said to show up differently and to show this different way of how we are our true selves, our unconditional love for our children on social media. So Erica said, how do I present this to my alienated child? So if you're talking about the Erasing Family film, it's free. Send them the link and just say, hey, I watched this film, would love to hear your thoughts. Don't say it's about me, it's about us, it's about parental alienation. People always love to be asked their opinion. So just share them a link and make it super casual, and that's why I made a film. Allie Matherson, I'm still healing from the trauma and not really sure at what stage of healing with myself should I begin the journey to try reunite with my adult children, 17 and 18. So Allie, here's the basic test. When you can look at the alienator and say, I feel sorry for them, when you can look at your kids and say, I just want to be in their life no matter what, and I'm willing to take whatever I get, and if they yell at me, I just focus on how I show up, and I'm actually grateful that they're yelling at me because at least it's contact, then you're ready. Your trauma will never be fully healed. But as long as you know you'd be resilient, so instead, it's like sales. You have to get to 100 no's to get a yes. So if you know your kids curse at you and you're just like, wow, that's great, they're cursing at me. This is communication. Yeah. And I've worked with parents like that who are like, one was like, Ginger, I'm so happy, my daughter just sued me. I'm like, what? He's like, but before a lawsuit you have to do mediation, so I'm going to be in a room with her. And guess what? They got into the mediating room, they hugged, they sat down, they talked for 2 hours, and then the mediator was like, young lady, aren't you here to see your dad? And she goes, yeah, can you give me $100? The whole thing was an excuse to be in a room with him. She was so scared of him for the lies she was told. She was like, this is the safest place for me to be, is in a courtroom with my dad. Becca Thompson, my adult child will not tell me why he wants nothing to do with me. For this reason, I can't even deny, apologize, ask forgiveness, explain, or even address it. What to do for those of us in this situation? So Becca, my heart goes out to you. This is very common. Remember, everything I'm giving is general advice that works in most cases. Everyone, of course, needs accountability and a specific strategy, right? So I would look at what the trauma is in your family and clear up that trauma pattern. So many parents I work with say, I can't talk with my kid won't talk to me. And then it becomes revealed they don't want to talk to their own parent. There's a brother or sister they don't want to talk to, and they always say, but my brother stole the inheritance, but my mom was abusive. Guess what? Your kid is saying the same thing about you. So that's one place to start. And the other is acknowledging that you probably didn't do anything wrong. Maybe you did something that's really awful. I don't know. You take ownership for what you can, which I always say, what you can always take ownership for is, I'm sorry you witnessed mommy and daddy fighting. I'm sorry we went through a messy divorce. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you. That you can apologize for. And then always say, what do you want me to do to move forward? Realizing your kid is also on that own timeline. So you want to plant the seeds so when they're ready, they can come back and you'll rebuild a beautiful relationship. Remember, reuniting is not just a meeting, it's a relationship that happens. Agnete Hansen, can you share tips on reuniting alienated siblings? My 7-year-old wants to see older sister who recently started seeing dad again. So this is really tragic when siblings can't see each other, and I would say you do whatever is possible to stop the fighting between you and dad. Alienation cannot be cured when there's still bad feelings and fighting with the other parent. I know that's a tough one, especially when the other parent has probably done horrible things to you, right? But kids will do anything to avoid fighting, so often one sibling will ally with one parent and one sibling will ally with the other. So what you need to do is you need to stop the alienation, make it not fun, use specialized techniques when you talk with the alienator. So this will calm things down, and then however you get those siblings in the same room, and maybe it's you drop them off in a third-party location where you're not there and the dad's not there, I would do it because it's worth it. So Monica mentioned some other kids. There's a lot of kids who are doing the work that I'm doing, and everyone has something beautiful to share. So Ryan Thomas, he's very brilliant with the scripts and the templates. And what my approach is that the scripts and the templates, like I could write the text to your kid right now for you. If you aren't healed, it won't work. Now, if you write a text that's okay, not perfect, but you're healed, the kids will answer you. And I've seen it with parents I've worked with. If in one session they can heal their trauma, and then they send out a text, and I never tell them to text after one session. But they're like, hey, guess what? I'm reunited with my kids now. I'm like, whoa, because they're healed. So Peter Hill, love to hear what the secret sauce is to get through my 32-year-old daughter. My ex is still recommending that she not talk to me. Again, healing that dynamic with you and your ex, whether with her directly or symbolically, is important. And then at 32, she's on her own journey and you have to attract her back. So Nadia Crane, author. Question, is there a difference between estrangement and parent alienation? So I'm going to give my definition of parental alienation. Parental alienation is conditional love. I will love you, I will give you resources if you reject the other parent and their family. Okay? So the antidote to parental alienation is conditional love. Now, I've worked with parents who are technically estranged because they were alcoholics at the last time their kids saw them. I actually worked with one mom who hit her daughter in an alcoholic rage, but then became sober. And I worked with her to, first of all, she was Catholic, so using her own faith-based tradition, do penance for that. And to really forgive herself, but also to stop coming with her daughter like, hey, I healed, you owe it to me. I'm like, lady, your daughter owes you nothing. You slapped her in the face when you were drunk. Of course she's scared of you. And then what did this woman also say? Guess what? She didn't have a relationship with her own mom. She's like, well, I hate being around my own mom. She's like, well, your daughter hates being around you. So she started seeing her mom. Now she has a relationship with her daughter and she's teaching her how to drive. Totally possible. But she was willing to look in the mirror and say, yeah, being a drunk and hitting my daughter was awful. So that's estrangement. And I think we get so hung up in these definitions instead of saying there is a messed up family dynamic that needs to be changed for the sake of stopping this for future generations so no other kid goes through this. I also work with parents, I'm going to tell you, they're an alienator, the other parent's an alienator, and the other parent is just better at it. So I also work with narcissistic parents and borderline parents to stop the alienation, but it also means that they have to check and learn new skills, so it's not just I'm trying to alienate and I'm a 5 and the other parent is alienating, they're a 9. We need to change the way we view this. Allie Matherson, question, should I be in therapy before I try to start this journey? Yes, I think everybody should be in therapy. I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy since age 6. And finally, around age 37, I found a great therapist who I still work with. So you have to find a therapist. You know, first of all, therapy, if nothing else, is someone to bitch and complain and moan to. So your friends and family aren't having to listen to you. That right there is worth the money. But also, they can help identify these trauma responses and look for patterns. And what I do as a coach and consultant on parental alienation is give you the strategy. And there's some parents who I say, I will not work with you until you're in therapy. So Erica Johnson, you also said Anti-Alienation Project 2, big shout out to Maddie. I'm hoping that I'll get to work with her and bring more resources with her to the community. There's a lot of kids out there doing good stuff. Ann Wendell, you said suggestions how to deal with the devastation and anger. I hope I addressed that. If not, send me a comment. Allie Matheson question, how do you deal with rejection when you reach out to them? You focus on showing up with unconditional love and only on how you're showing up and not them. Because here's the thing, and here's the secret sauce. Just because they reject you or don't respond doesn't mean that your outreach isn't working. They might be behind the scenes thinking, evaluating, and reaching out for help. Ashley Hillerson question, how do you contact child when other parent blocks or refuses even court order visits and phone calls? No contact even with therapists, trying reunification therapy. This is really hard. This is very common, okay? What you need to do is get the alienation to stop and to get the professionals on your side. And then become a magnet and plant the seeds. So in some cases, you cannot actually have contact for a while. I wish people contact me on month 3, not year 3. But there's still stuff you can do in year 3 for the alienation, even if this is going on for a while. So you need a very specialized approach, Dali, to get the alienation to stop, get the professionals on your side, and then plant the seed so when your child can reach out, and that might be in secret, you are ready, you are whole, you are healed, and they become attracted back. And also they can see this in social media and from other people. Okay, let's see some other questions. Peter Hill, how to attract her back? So Vesta, why haven't met you at the PSG 2023 conference? Good question. I was at, I think, the 2019 conference. I'd love to go to more conferences. I'm going to be very honest. I go to conferences if I can be invited to participate, which means that my travel is paid for. I can't go to stuff for free anymore. So that's why. But I'm here right now, so I can talk to everybody right now. And I hope to be invited to more conferences, so I'm glad to go. But with the internet, we don't have to physically be in the same room. But I'll be doing so much more. Peter Hill. How do you make it not from the alienated if the kids are all adults? No contact for 7 years. So Mountain Breeze Structures LLC, that's a good question, and I will address that in the next chat. I'm getting a lot of thank yous. Cindy, we chatted online, Cindy Boss, so you know the next steps to take. Peter Hill, we should talk offline too with these specific questions. So what are the next steps, and how am I going to make this, how am I going to reunite more families? So I've started doing this work. So I created the Erasing Family documentary. It came out in 2019. Parents started to contact me and they're like, Ginger, help me. And at first I was like, I'm a filmmaker, but I felt so called. I became trained as a coach. So I trained with Bill Eddy of the High Conflict Institute. I'm his only on-staff coach right now, besides the other, I think there's a few others, but like I'm the first person he brought on from the outside. And I have my own program at reversingparentalalienation.com. In the fall, I'm going to release a new program that's going to feature kid coaches. These are ex-alienated kids who are reunited like me, who are going to be there, and parents, to answer your questions. Now, in a chat with a lot of people, I can answer questions and give you the next step. But for this to go from being alienated to reunited, what you need is you need hand-holding, you need help, and you need new skills. And you need to practice and make these skills your own. So when you get a reach out, when something bad happens, you just see this as another obstacle that you will conquer because you've conquered other obstacles in the past. You are still here. You are survivors, and you're seeking out for help. You don't know how many parents don't even want help. So, hold on one second. So Rick said, I'd love to have a story to tell on my platform. Go to racingfamily.org. There's a platform there. But more than stories about how you're suffering, I'm collecting stories of how you are reuniting. Because everyone says they have the craziest story. My ex, that was another way I got into this. My ex, he was alienated and he was in jail for a year and a half over this. And he spent 12 years without seeing his daughter. I want you to have the best story. I want you to go back from the depths of hell to the highest heaven. So I don't want parents competing who has the worst story. I want you to say, I've had the best story. I've reunited. After 10 years, I've reunited. So, who here is going to sign up to work on the roadmap? Who's going to take the free training at reversingparentalalienation.com? There's a free training. It's 35 minutes where I'll go more in depth with this, and then you'll see more ways to work with me. Because what I can give on a chat is just a taste of the skills and mindset shifts that if we work together and have accountability, you can see. And that's where the change happens. So the parents who see the change seek out help. And that's more than reading books. It's more than watching videos. It's working with a community of people who are going through this, who have done this over and over again, so you can follow and copy their success. So I have Brenda saying, count me in. Nerly Mendoza, me. I have someone saying they participate in the film. I have people saying connect. This is amazing. Heather saying, thank you, Ginger. I love your approach. So this is the taste I can give today. I am committed to helping parents. And what is important for me as a kid who's been through this is that you treat me as a proxy for your alienated kids. I get so much abuse from alienated parents. I get about 10 parents a day messaging me saying what an awful person I am. They email me and say what an awful person I am. I am representing your children. If you don't want to work with me, that is totally okay. But there's a limit without knowing your story and your circumstances, your family patterns, how much healing I can offer on a chat. And I don't coach over email, and I don't coach over chat. I send you to the resources. So the next resource is to take my free training on reversingparentalalienation.com, and then you decide how you want to work with me. Now, if you don't want to work with me, there's other people out there, and it's important that you find the person who speaks to you and who resonates with you. And I'm going to address something else. I never turn away people for lack of funds, but it's important for me to get paid to do this when I work one-on-one. Why? Because if not, I'm depleted. And the parents who pay value this, just like you pay for therapy or for a doctor's visit. In the future, I'm going to offer more and more scholarships, but right now, my commitment is working for free with the kids. And I do a lot of this in private. I also have a whole movie for free, tons of videos on Facebook, content, YouTube, tons of hours of tips and tricks. And I have a free text line, which so few people use. 865-4FAMILY, text help to that line, and you'll talk to a real person. And someone's like, Ginger, you have to talk more about the charity you're doing, so I'm letting you know now. But this energy exchange is important. Because you want to tell your kids and all the alienated kids out there that you're valuable, because so many alienated kids, because someone's asking, where are the alienated kids? So you say, Ginger, I can't do this anymore. The parents say they just take, want. They're asking me all these questions. I'm helping them for free. They want to talk to me at midnight. There needs to be an equal balance and exchange. So it needs to work for both parties. You need to feel like you're getting value, and we alienated kids who are helping need to feel like we're being valued too. So I can't wait to see you sign up. I can't wait to see you take the free training. I can't wait to see you keep showing up on these things. And for those of you who have tons of questions, sign up for the roadmap. It's only $99 for a lifetime access to 12 weeks. Sign up to work with me one-on-one. Think about all the money, time, and energy it's costing you to not be reunited. How much free you'd be to live your best life, to have a better job, to do whatever you want with the kids at your side. Again, if you think I'm not the person, I totally understand that, and people have listed some other great resources there. But this is too big of a problem to solve on your own. I'm going to look at the new comments, and then we're going to go. Andrea, this is making cry. I'm so tired. I'll check out your training out. Thank you. Heather, what a generous heart you have. Oh, thank you. Brenda Joy, healthy boundaries and respect. Yes. With your experience, what percentage of alienated children reunite with the targeted parent? So with the people who I work with, about 10% stop working with me, or 20%. So like, I don't know what happens with them. And then of the people who continue working with me, I would say half of the people have reunited and the other half haven't. That doesn't mean they haven't yet. And a lot of people I work with, and then they reunite later. Some cases are more difficult. The cases that have been going on for 20, 30 years, those are more difficult than a case that has been going on for 3 months, but there's always hope, right? And it also depends on what happened in the past. If someone was a drug addict, an alcoholic, that's harder than someone who had a very good relationship, and it also is what's going on in the family dynamic. So I don't want to say that every case is possible, but every parent who I work with, they feel hopeful, they have a plan, they have a strategy, they know they won't make a mistake, and they're focusing on themselves and showing up with love. How do I sign up for coaching with you? So it's reversing parental alienation.com. And we'll be responding to all the comments too. I get a lot of thank you. Training, it's reversingparentalalienation.com. Hold on. So I'm getting a lot of people who are saying that they're interested. That's awesome. I hope to see you in the roadmap. And I am focusing in the next month or two, bringing on more outside training and more coaching for the roadmap. I'm redesigning the program, but sign up now, because anyone who signs up now will be grandfathered in, or they'll be allowed to participate in the new program. So don't wait, sign up now. And also, if you're like, Ginger, I want this to end now, I need to see shift now, sign up for the roadmap and one-on-one coaching with me. That's the most powerful combination. That's when it's like, boom, fire. So thank you so much. And we will talk soon. Bye.